Hey everybody, I'm Kai Ryssdal. Welcome back to Make Me Smart, where we make today make sense. It is Friday, the 1st of November.
Yeah, we needed to get here, didn't we? I'm Kimberly Adams.
Yes.
Thank you everyone for joining us on this Economics on Tap, our weekly happy hour episode.
Excuse me, I'm
It's your turn,
swallowing.
Kai.
You caught me unawares. I know. I was mid-gulp. We're going to do some news, take a break, and then play a game. First, we will talk drinks. I will confess, I'm drinking a cup of coffee out of the Starbucks mug that I found on the curb outside my house about 2 years ago. Because I was up too early this morning, and we also have theater tickets this evening, my wife and I, and so I need to make it to 11 o'clock this evening, and it's going to be a little tricky.
Oh,
It's going to be a little tricky.
That's
And we're going to dinner first,
man.
and I want to have a beer, but I don't know if I'm gonna, because bad form to fall
That's
asleep.
rough. Man,
Yeah.
you're a tough one. I'm quite boring today. I'm just drinking red wine because I was in a rush
go.
and it's fast to pour it.
There you
But
go.
let's see what everybody
There you go.
else is drinking. Let's see. Oh, Jonathan is having a Dr. Pepper Zero. I do like Dr. Pepper. Tim is
Do you?
drinking rare root beer in London. You don't like Dr. Pepper?
I don't have a taste for it, no. Every now and then I try it, and
Hmm.
I'm talking like every 10 years I try it, and I'm like, oh yeah, no, don't like it.
Yeah, I like it. It's fun. Let's
All
see what
right.
everybody else is drinking.
There's a
Clementine
homemade
Izzy.
sangria.
Oh,
Yeah, I saw
that
that one.
Karen is
I saw that one.
drinking. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. Southern Tier Juicy IPA that Kevin is drinking. Oh, okay. Dylan has blackberry cider and Kay has a pecan frappuccino. Pecan, don't at me. Because Kay is on the road. Lots of
Okay.
fans for Dr. Pepper over here.
Lots of
Ooh,
Dr.
rum
Pepper.
and
Is
Dr.
Dr. Pepper
Pepper.
Zero? Man, oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
yeah. Let's see. Ooh, Mari has water with a hint of lime. Sounds very refreshing. New
Blue Lotus
and B
chai.
Patton has New Holland Space Machine Hazy IPA.
Not so bad. There you go. A lot of hazies out
Lots
there.
of
A lot of hazies.
nice. I
funny.
feel like they're
Last
doing
time,
that
first
for
time
you.
well, I think they're doing it for me, and they're like, we can have one, and you can't, because you have to stay up. And I'm like, oh my God, yes, I have to stay up. All right, shall we?
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's do some
Okay.
news. You get to go first.
So there has been so much money raised and spent in this campaign, and not just the presidential. We're talking the race for Congress, we're talking the ballot initiatives, so much money. But one thing that's always fascinating to me when we hit this time of year, and I did a story on it once years ago, is how campaigns decide what money to spend in the final days of the campaign, because you want to spend enough money that you win, but you don't want to spend more than you have to in case you want money to like pay whatever vendors and to pay for your election night party, maybe to give your staff bonuses, to make sure you finalize paying all the rent everywhere you need to pay, and for cleanup, and even to maybe jumpstart your reelection campaign fund, right? But one of the things that is interesting this cycle is how much money they're saving for the legal challenges that everybody knows are coming, many of which are already ongoing. And so that's part of the calculation. I mean, I'm linking to an article from The Hill. Trump-Harris camps prepare to go to the mattress in election legal battles. There are already more than 200 voting and election cases pending across the nation, with many in key battleground states that could alter the trajectory of the election's outcomes. I've also had a bunch of off-the-record conversations with people talking about just like the staffing they've been doing. We know the Republicans have been hiring and having tons of lawyers working on this stuff already, but the Democrats have in many ways learned their lesson from 2020, and they are definitely staffed up and ready to fight a lot of these legal challenges. And it's going to be very expensive. It's probably going to last a while, even if it doesn't, even if the election is decided more or less, we can still expect the legal fights to go on for quite some time. And so that's one thing that's interesting. But so it's all the different things I'm thinking about that are coming after the election, the legal fights, but also I saw this really interesting article in Campaigns and Elections, which is this online news magazine, news outlet specifically for like campaign operatives. And they're kind of laughing at the fact that Google and a bunch of these other platforms are saying that they're going to have ad blackouts after the election for political ads. And so I'm just going to read here. The political ad industry appears less flummoxed than in the past by last minute end of cycle marketing restrictions by platform companies. Alphabet, for instance, has told advertisers that post election day they'll implement a political ad blackout meant to limit the potential for confusion, but that announcement was met with a collective shrug from digital ad practitioners who spoke to campaigns and elections. Basically, they all know the loopholes already. They're not worried about it. And, Meta supposedly has a limit on campaign advertising from October 29th to November 5th, but will allow new ads on social issues, elections, or politics to be published as of November the 6th. So it's the platforms have no handle on this. And then, of course, if you go over to Twitter, they don't want to have a handle on it. Elon Musk has created a cesspool of misinformation over there. But just watch out on social media. Actually, it would be good if we all just got off social media in the days around the election and just didn't.
Be smart, right? That'd be smart.
Yeah, that would be good. Just
smart,
do a
because,
detox. Just walk away from it.
The stuff that it injects directly into your veins is just not always healthy, Yeah. Anyway.
Except the cat videos.
Except the cat videos, of course, or anime, that kind of stuff.
Dog videos. What you got?
So, mine is a piece in the Wall Street Journal, no, in the Washington Post today, actually, about more of believing that the former president is going to do what he says he is going to do and is going to be allowed to do it by those he places in power. In this instance, the Federal Communications Commission. I take very slight issue with the Washington Post subhead here. The headline is How Trump Could Weaponize the FCC Against the Media in a Second Term. The subhead starts, the somewhat obscure federal agency. I don't actually buy that it's somewhat obscure. That's unkind.
That's not true.
But look, in the face of the $10 billion specious lawsuit that the former president has filed against CBS for what I have repeatedly said on the record was a stupid editing decision that CBS did with the 60 Minutes interview that it did with the vice president, but also him going after ABC for air quotes here, unfairness in the presidential debate that they did. He is going to do what he says he is going to do, and you should believe him. And he is going to go after the FCC and talk about yanking broadcast licenses. He is, and I'll say this now, and stations up and down the line, call me and disagree with me if you want. I think funding for the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and for National Public Radio and public broadcasting at large is very much in jeopardy. If there is a Republican sweep, and that it's all part of the playbook of controlling the media when you want to take power. And look out, read this piece, believe him when he says he's going to do something, because he will do it. There are no guardrails. Well, truly.
Yeah, and some of the language of the things he said he's going to do has become increasingly violent, as we saw this week, not to mention mass deportations and a lot of other things. And yeah. All right. That's
sorry. A very quick question from the chat, which is germane. Stephanie Moore Fuller says, question, when do they start counting the early voting? It depends entirely on the state you are in. And even more particularly than that, it's not even just counting. It's pre-preparing the ballots to be counted. Like you have to open, mail-in ballots or whatever other kind of ballot you have. You have to open it. You have to flatten it so it can be scanned. All kinds of things have to happen. So it depends very much on the state. Very much on the state. So.
Yes.
Yeah.
And a lot of states are still being challenged on just those rules. Like some of those ongoing lawsuits are about whether or not you can open ballots to get them ready to run through the machine ahead of election day. And all of these things are going to delay the count. And we were recording an episode of Decoding Democracy the other day, and one of the things that this really smart guy from the Brennan Center for Justice was telling us is that the biggest issue right after the election is going to be the uncertainty and the void of information while we wait to know for sure. And bad actors are going to fill that void with garbage and with narratives to, kind of push their own agendas. And we will see isolated events of machines breaking down and election workers having to go in and fix them, which is a totally normal thing when you have machines, they break and there are systems around it. But there will be people who will amplify those isolated events to say like, the whole thing is rigged. And so
Yep.
just like we know what the narratives are going to be, get ahead of them, warn your friends and family so that you know what's coming and maybe can get it
Be smart
around it.
about it.
Yeah.
Be smart about it.
Yeah.
That is the news. Quick break, obviously, and then a round of half full, half empty. Here we go.
All right, we are back. And before we play half full, half empty, shout out to everybody in the YouTube chat who is a poll worker, an election judge, or helping out with early voting. I love to see it. My mom's been giving me updates on her poll worker training and all the things that she's doing. And just thank you to everybody who's doing that. We actually have one of my colleagues in the DC Bureau is taking the day off on election day to be a
Well, that's
poll
great.
worker, which I think is
That's
super
great.
cool.
Yeah.
All right, but let's play half full, half empty, hosted by the wonderful Drew Jostad. Take it away, Drew.
All right. First up, projected to grow 22% in the next 5 years is the global market for matcha. Are you half full or half empty on the growing popularity?
That's so funny. I had
I have
matcha this
never,
morning instead of my black tea.
I have never had matcha.
You haven't? Have you had matcha flavored things?
I'm not to my knowledge. I
Ah,
lead a very
okay.
sheltered life.
I don't think you do, but says that because you literally just went around the world, doing that how he survives stuff. So I don't
for
think
those of
that's
us who are
true.
unfamiliar, what is matcha? A tea? Is it like a soda?
Oh,
What is it?
sorry. Yes, it's a type of tea. It's a type of green tea. We have a wonderful marketplace story here that I'm going to click on about matcha's growing popularity. Let's see, and it originated in China, but was made popular in Japan. Matcha has taken over the menus of coffee shops and bakeries around the world, with mega corporations like Starbucks and Dunkin' cashing in. I actually got
Wow.
my matcha from a former intern like years and years ago.
All right.
Then I've just
So
been slowly
here's,
waking
sorry,
my way through it.
Jarathan and I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, in the chat. Same boat as Kai. Never had it. Never thought powdered green tea sounded good. So that's the form factor question. It comes in a powder and you mix it up with like hot water, I guess.
Yes,
Gotcha.
yes, you do.
All right.
I think it has more caffeine than regular green tea.
Oh,
I'm
really?
not sure.
I think
but
the
I
fact
what does
that
it
you
taste like?
actually ingest the powder, like you get a little more, rather than
Ah,
just steeping the leaves, you're actually ingesting them.
And what does
a
it
little
taste
chunky.
like?
Grass.
It doesn't taste like grass.
You make it sound so attractive.
It tastes like green tea. I have it with honey usually rather than like
All
sugar,
right.
which I do with some of the other green teas. No.
Anyway, you half full, half empty on the growth thing.
Oh, sorry. I'm half full. I love all the ways people are trying to talk
I know,
about
right?
matcha. Grass, leaf, grassy tea, bitter and gritty, earthy.
Oh my God. Oh my
Nothing
God.
like brewed lawn. Okay, we're done.
Yeah.
Let's go on to the next
I'm
one.
half full on the growth. I mean, everybody gets to drink what they want, right? Let's go, Drew.
Yeah, and
Sorry,
it's
that was
it's
that was
healthy.
a little
Let's do
rabbit
it.
hole right there.
All right. Since declining to make an endorsement in the presidential race, over 200,000 subscribers have ditched the Washington Post. Are you half full or half empty?
I think it's actually 250, and props to NPR's David Folkenflik for having broken that story and having been consistently right on the numbers, which have been confirmed by the Post's own reporting. Here's the catch, and everybody who's listening to this podcast knows this: when you cancel your Washington Post subscription, you're not hurting Jeff Bezos, you're hurting the reporters and editors who work, but you're not hurting our tax either. You're hurting the reporters and editors who work at the Post because that's the revenue that they use to do their work. So. I'm half full on the principle, but I'm half empty on the actual doing, if that makes any sense.
I'm all the way empty, not just because I know a bunch of Post reporters and it makes me feel badly for them because they're already, our industry is already a mess, but also, Yeah, as multiple people are saying in the chat, don't cancel the Washington Post, cancel Amazon. That's where the money comes from. And I have not canceled my Post subscription. I
Nope.
still get paper delivery, and I respect the
do
work of
you?
those journalists.
Wow.
Yes, I do. I do.
Wow.
And I respect the work of those journalists so much. And you cannot always control what your bosses do, as we
Nope.
all know so well. Um,
No reason I'm laughing
and
here. No reason I'm chuckling. No reason I'm chuckling at all.
so I'm all the way empty on that. Look, we've had versions of this in public radio where management or leadership does things at various organizations, and people want to, you know, rep, you know, say that they're upset, legitimately so, and that they don't like it, and they're like, "Oh, we're going to stop donating." It's like, well, that doesn't actually help. That makes it worse. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
On to
All
the
right.
next.
Yep.
Are
true.
you half full or half empty on companies firing workers for minor infractions?
I almost put this as my news fix. So this was
What's
something
the
that somebody
story?
posted in the Slack, in our Now Reading Slack. So it's a Wall Street Journal story that Olga Oxman shared about how companies that are trying to reduce their headcounts are starting to go after people for all of these, like, what used to be overlooked infractions, like employees at Meta fired for spending their $25 meal allowances on other items, Ernst & Young dismissing workers who watched multiple training videos at the same time, Target canning employees who jumped the line to buy coveted Stanley water bottles ahead of the general public. That does seem to be just like an excuse to let people go. But I can also appreciate how, especially in the work from home environment, a lot of kind of guardrails about managing company resources got a lot more flexible, and some people took advantage. So I'm half empty on this as like an excuse just to reduce your head count, but work is work, y'all. Be careful. Don't mess around with the money. People come after you.
Right. Right. That's exactly it. Agree. I associate myself with Ms. Adams' remarks.
Paul is
All
saying
right.
in the chat, like, maybe a warning in your HR file first. Like, that's exactly it, right? If they were serious about changing the behavior, they would warn you,
Yeah,
say,
but
hey,
they're
we see
not.
you're doing
Yeah.
this. You've got a flag. If it happens again, we're going to let you go. But just sort of full scale letting people go, that's just a headcount reduction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Susanna says, as I watch this podcast while doing my job, you can multitask. You can multitask. I believe in you.
Next
All
up,
right, what's next?
daylight saving time ends Sunday. Are you half full or half empty?
Oh, I am so empty on this
That's so
because
interesting.
I have to get up Sunday morning already
Oh, well,
early.
that's on you, pal. Come on. That's on you. That's
So
on
yeah,
you
that's
and
totally on
C-SPAN.
me. That's
Well, you
totally
get more
on me,
sleep.
but I'm
You
going.
get more sleep then.
Yeah, you get another
Is
hour.
it more hours? Oh, it's not the
Yeah.
Yeah,
other.
you fall
God
back in the
bless.
fall.
Okay, Okay, good. Well, never mind then. I'm for it. All the way full. Change my mind completely.
I am half full because I get up early and I like it to be lighter earlier. But also, and this is perhaps goofy, but there's a little bit of romanticism in this for me. It reminds me of when I was a kid and summertime came and you got to stay up later and it was light later and then, I like that.
More time to
So
enjoy the beautiful fall colors here in DC.
there you go.
So
That
yeah.
too. That too.
All right,
There
is
we
it
go.
time for the poll?
It is.
Let's do it.
All right.
Although people are telling you, Kai, to move someplace with actual seasons.
I know.
All right,
Are
what we got, Drew?
you half full or half empty on decriminalizing jaywalking?
Oh, I saw this. I
I did
saw
not.
this.
Tell me about
So
it.
it was a piece in the New York Times the other day. Either the New York City Council or the mayor, I guess the New York City Council, has voted to decriminalize jaywalking. As we all know, people in New York jaywalk with abandon. I do it when I'm there because it's efficient and New York moves fast and, you got to get places. Um, uh, so that's the nut graph of the story. It's always interesting to me when I come to the East Coast and I'm in New York for something, and then I take the train from New York down to DC, and you're in New York and you're jaywalking and you're going everywhere you want to go and blah blah blah, and then you get off the train and you walk out of Union Station and you go to cross the street and you realize nobody in DC really jaywalks much. And you're like, man, what? Yeah.
Insert comments here about Maryland/Virginia drivers, but you know.
Oh, well, yeah, there's that too. There's that too. Anyway, so that's the story. Yeah.
I don't trust other drivers enough to jaywalk for real. Like I need it to be completely clear in either direction for me to feel comfortable jaywalking, because you're saving yourself like what, 20-30 seconds at the risk of your life. No thanks. Or serious bodily injury.
Stare them down. Make eye contact with the driver. They're not going to hit you.
Look, I lived in Egypt for some time, and
well, that's true.
The traffic there is something, and there is no option other than jaywalking. So I have done my fair share of death glare people to make them let me by. I have also seen firsthand the consequences of when that doesn't work on multiple occasions, and it's not pretty. Just not worth it. Just not worth it. I'd rather.
As I have told you, I think one of the 2 times in my life I genuinely thought I was going to die. One of them was in a backseat of a cab in Cairo. Genuinely.
I'm not surprised, as somebody who rode a motorcycle as my main form of transportation in Cairo. My most epic moment was I was on a highway in Cairo, stuck in traffic that was moving, but moving slowly. And I realized that I was behind an open bed pickup truck loaded with shards of glass.
Oh,
and
man.
The back of it was not actually, there wasn't a back of it. It was just like held, all these shards of glass were held back with like ropes. And I was like, yep, this is how I'm going to go out. Went around.
So here's the poll. Half full on decriminalizing jaywalking, 72%. Half empty, 27%. I don't know whatever happened to that other 1%. 142 of you voted. Thank you.
So I'm going to say I'm half full on decriminalizing jaywalking. I don't think anybody needs to be like getting a ticket or penalties for it, but be smart, y'all. Don't do it. It's not worth it.
Fair enough. Fair enough. There we go.
All right, then. That is it.
We are done for the day. Take the next 2 days off, everybody, if you got them. Back next week. Until then, hit us up with your comments, questions, or suggestions. We'll take them all. Email, voicemail. We want everything. Make me smart at marketplace.org or leave us a voicemail, 508-UBSMART.
But seriously, like I said, y'all, it's okay to take a break and just not work. Make Me Smart is produced by Courtney Bergseeker. Today's episode was engineered by Jake Cherry.
The team behind our Friday game is Emily McCune, Jamila Huxtable, and Antoinette Brock. Marissa Cabrera is our senior producer. Bridget Bodner is the director of podcast. Francesca Levy is the executive director of digital and on demand at this particular production house.
Oh, the cat's behind me, so I shall move and let people see him. Okay.
There you go, because that's all anybody wants.
That's all anybody cares.
That's all anybody wants.
Everybody just